Greetings, Guardians of Dominion. Zeus here with another electrifying breakdown. Today we're diving into a tier list unlike any I've ever made, because 2025 changed the entire battlefield. New heroes, new mechanics, and a completely different meta are shaking everything we thought we knew. And the results may surprise you. Let's get into it. In 2025 we received several new heroes, and they really changed the way players approach the game. They didn't just add more options, they shifted the entire rhythm of battles, the value of older heroes, and even the thinking behind team building. And because of that, this year's tier list needs a different approach than the one I used before. This year I'm introducing a hybrid tier list. I will still tag every hero the same way, I use it, I rarely use it, and I never use it, because I want players to know my real hands-on experience. I have almost every hero fully maxed, and I test them constantly in different teams and situations. But on top of these tags, I will also assign a rank, S+, S, A, B, C, or D. This combination allows me to show both sides, how strong the hero is in the meta, and how often I actually use them in real battles. For the S+ category, I limited myself to only 6 heroes. These are, in my opinion, the 6 most special heroes in the entire game right now: Sebastian, Nebula, Isaac, Augustus, Lyria, and Cascade. Let me briefly explain why they stand above everyone else. Sebastian is widely recognized as the strongest hero in the game, even by the developers themselves. His ability to block all negative effects while boosting physical damage output is unmatched. Very few heroes define a meta, and Sebastian is one of them. Nebula is special because she fits into every team. It doesn't matter if the hero deals magic, physical, or pure damage, she boosts all of them. She even amplifies healing. Her flexibility alone makes her one of the most valuable heroes in Hero Wars. Isaac is the nightmare of every magic hero. He counters half of the hero roster by himself, and because magic teams are so popular, his impact in battle is always massive. His presence alone forces players to rethink their entire strategy. Augustus earned his place for a different reason. He has a unique mechanic that changes how magic heroes function by converting magic damage into pure damage. This is not a small effect. This mechanic influences every magic attacker in the game, and because of that, his impact is huge and long-lasting. Lyria also brings a completely new mechanic to the table: she counters dodge. For years, dodge-heavy teams were shutting down physical attackers. But now, with Lyria, all physical heroes can ignore dodge, and deal consistent damage. That single change increases the value of dozens of heroes. And finally, Cascade. Her mechanic transforms all magic heroes' basic attacks into damaging strikes. This doesn't just improve a single hero, it changes half the magic roster at once. Even healers start contributing damage. It's a game-altering effect similar to Augustus, and that puts her in the top category. Now that the special S+ tier is clear, let's move into the full tier list. I will evaluate heroes based on my personal usage and the rank I assign them, S, A, B, C, or D. And to keep everything clean and organized, I will go role by role. The first role I'm starting with is the Mage branch. Krista, S. I use Krista very often, especially after her rework. She became a genuinely strong hero with reliable damage output and great synergy options. Heidi, A. Heidi is still a powerful attacker, but with the new heroes entering the meta, I find myself using him less. He is no longer my first choice in many battles, so I rarely use him now. Orion, S. I use Orion very often. His damage is extremely high, and his artifact gives magic penetration to the whole team. This makes him not only a strong attacker but also one of the best magic supporters in the game. Iris, A? Iris is still good in today's meta, but I personally don't use her as much anymore. There are simply better options for the same role. I use her rarely. Helios, B. Helios remains a strong hero, but his value is mostly limited to countering critical hit attackers. I use him often when the matchup demands it, but outside of that, he is very situational. Folio, B. Folio has a powerful burst attack, and I enjoy using him. His damage is satisfying and impactful, so I use him often. Judge, C. Even after his rework, Judge still hasn't found his place in the meta. I really like this character, and I do use him sometimes, but he simply needs one more rework to become relevant. Lars, C. With Krista's improvements and Cascade now in the game, Lars is no longer essential in their combination. He works with them, but he isn't required. Just like Judge, he needs a rework. I use him rarely. Mojo, D. His rework didn't make him more usable. He has some niche team combinations in Asgard boss fights, but overall, Mojo is still not good enough. I don't use him at all. Peppy, D. I love Peppy. She is fun to use, and her abilities are interesting, but fun is not enough to compete in today's meta. I don't consider her a serious option. Celeste, C. I don't use Celeste. Her skills are still good, and she can be useful in certain matchups, but she simply cannot compete with what top-tier supports bring today. Satori, C. Satori is a niche hero with high damage potential, but Sebastian counters him completely. And since Sebastian appears everywhere in defenses, Satori's practical usage drops a lot. I use him rarely. Kai, D. I don't use Kai. He pairs well with Kark, but beyond that synergy, there isn't much usage today. There are simply better alternatives. Faceless, C. Faceless is outdated, and he needs a rework. However, I still use him very often for control purposes. When paired with Arachne, he can be a very good control tool. Lilith, D. I don't use Lilith and I don't see many opportunities to use her in the current meta. In one of my videos, Data YouTuber mentioned that Lilith performs well in a specific Asgard team, so there is some potential. But for my playstyle and for most players, I would still prefer a rework for this hero. Now let's move into the tank role branch. Tanks shape the entire flow of battle, and in 2025 their value changed a lot with new counters like Lyria and Cascade. Some tanks became more relevant, while others lost their place in the meta. Here is how I rank them based on my usage and their overall performance. Chabba, B. I rarely use Chabba, but he has a fun synergy with Ishmael. When he eats the front line and clears the way, Ishmael can reach the enemy core much faster. It's a very specific situation, but in that role Chabba performs well. Aurora, B. Aurora used to be my favorite tank, but after Lyria arrived, her value dropped. Dodge was her main strength, and Lyria's anti-dodge mechanic reduces her effectiveness in almost every mode. Still, Aurora remains good against magic-based attackers, and I use her often in those matchups. Galahad, S. Since Lyria's debut, Galahad became extremely popular. Because he cannot be countered by dodge reduction, his performance improved a lot. He deals consistent damage, holds the front line well, and works in many different team setups. I use him often, and he deserves S tier. Julius, A. I use Julius often because his defensive kit is still very strong. He provides shields, control, and good survivability, making him reliable in many team compositions. Even with new heroes in the meta, Julius remains a dependable tank. Corvus, A. Lyria's arrival increased Corvus' relevance for a while, especially because his altars punish melee attackers and burst-heavy teams. Galahad later became the more stable option with Lyria, but Corvus still has a strong kit and works very well with heroes like Kira. I use him often in those combinations. Cleaver, C. I don't use Cleaver anymore, but he isn't as weak as the tanks in D tier. He still brings hooks, disruption, and decent frontline pressure, but today's meta is simply too fast for him. He feels outdated, but not completely unplayable. Jiri, D. Jiri is extremely outdated and needs a full rework, including ascension skills, to become relevant again. Her kit doesn't match the speed of today's battles, and I never use her. Electra, S. Electra is one of the strongest tanks in the game right now. For a tank, her damage output is impressive, and she protects her team very well. She applies pressure while staying durable, which is rare for tanks. I use Electra very often. Rufus, D. Rufus used to dominate Magic matchups, but Cascade changed that completely. Magic teams now have ways to deal pure damage or bypass his defenses, which drops his value a lot. He is still usable, but no longer the top anti-magic option. I rarely use him now. Luther, D. Luther and Jiri are competing for the weakest tank position. Luther's kit no longer fits the modern meta, and without a rework he struggles in most battles. I never use him. Astaroth, A. I still use Astaroth because his protection, resurrection, damage reduction, and shielding remains useful for many teams. But I also think it's time for him to receive ascension skills, so he can adapt to today's fast meta. Mushy and Shroom, C. I don't use Mushy and Shroom in the current meta. Their skill set is too slow, and today's top teams focus on fast kills and early pressure. Mushy simply cannot keep up with that pace. Now let's move into the Marksman role. Marksmen remain the main physical attackers, and their value shifted with the arrival of Lyria and Cascade. Lara Croft, S. Lara Croft is very strong, and her violet skill makes her unique. She can stack different artifact effects over time, which gives her great flexibility in battle. She fits perfectly into the current meta, and I use her very often. Dante, A. With Lyria in the game, Dante's value dropped, similar to Aurora. Even so, he is still one of the most popular heroes. Players continue using him, because of his high burst and his speed, but for me he belongs in A tier. I don't use him anymore. Kira, S. Lyria boosted Kira more than any other marksman. Together, they can destroy around 90% of team setups. Kira's damage becomes extremely dangerous, and she performs consistently well. I use her often. Ju, A. Ju is a powerful hero able to break through backlines. He may not be as popular as Lara Croft, but his gameplay is effective and enjoyable. I use him often. Daredevil, B. I don't use Daredevil personally, but she performs better than most marksmen below her. Her damage is high, and she can pressure teams early. Artemis, C. I like Artemis and use her for fun. Her gameplay is satisfying, and her damage can be good, but she struggles in today's meta. This is why I place her in C tier. Fox, D. I never use Fox. She needs a rework. Her idea is good, but her energy gain is slow, and she cannot keep up with the meta. Ginger, D. I never use Ginger either. she is outdated and also needs a rework. Astrid and Lucas, D. Astrid and Lucas were my first developed hero, and I like their pet mechanic. But today there are much better options. They need a rework to become relevant again. Now let's move into the healer branch role. Healing is still important in 2025, but with the meta becoming faster, some healers kept their value while others dropped. Here is how I rank them based on my usage. Aiden, S. Aiden can support many different heroes and make them much tankier. His protection is very strong, and he fits well into many team setups. I use him often, especially now with Electra. Martha, A. I don't use Martha as much as before, but she is still a good healer. Her totem and speed boost can help in longer battles. Thea, A. I use Thea especially in defensive team setups. Her healing is consistent, and she works well in many defenses. Dorian, A. Dorian is a very good healer, but with the meta changing, I use him less than before. He is still strong but not my first choice. Jet, C. Jet's value dropped after Cascade entered the game and made dealing with Rufus much easier. I don't use Jet anymore, and I think he now needs a rework. Maya, B. Maya's skill set is good, she heals and deals damage, but the amounts are not enough for today's fast meta. I don't use her. Marcus, D. I don't use Marcus for a long time now. His kit feels outdated, and he needs a rework. Hoos, S. Hoos provides very strong healing, and his damage output is also high. I use him often. Now let's move into the support role. Support heroes can boost damage, control the battlefield, or protect the team, but their value has shifted a lot with the new meta. Here is how I rank them based on my usage. Amira, S. Amira is one of the most popular heroes in the game. Her damage output is very high, and many players know her more for her damage rather than her support abilities. She performs well in many setups, and I use her often. Cornelius, C. Cornelius is useful mostly in Asgard, but outside of that his value is limited. I don't use him. Morrigan, B. With Lyria's debut, I started using Morrigan more often, especially because she works well against certain physical teams. But Cascade dropped her value when used to counter Rufus, so I don't use her for that purpose anymore. Fafnir, B. I don't use Fafnir, and I don't see much value in his gameplay. His impact is low in today's meta. Alvanna, V. Alvanna is still valuable when you need to counter physical basic attackers. He works especially well in area of conquest. I use him when I see heroes like Ishmael or Kira. Anvari, D. I don't use Anvari anymore. He needs a rework and updated ascension skills to become relevant again. Now let's move into the warrior role. Warriors are usually strong frontline or midline fighters with high physical damage, and some of them are still very relevant in the 2025 meta. Here's how I rank them based on my usage and their overall performance. Ishmael, S. I use Ishmael often. He is useful in many different battles and game modes, and his damage potential remains extremely high. He deserves S tier. Ninja Turtles, C. I don't like Ninja Turtles gameplay. They are useful mainly in the Maestro Asgard boss fight, but outside of that they don't offer much. I don't use them. Tristan, A. Tristan is part of many meta teams and works well in different combinations. He provides great value, and I use him often. Qing Mao, B. Lyria dropped Qing Mao's value a lot. She is still a strong hero, but when she cannot dodge to gain energy, she becomes much slower. Even so, I use Qingmao often. Kayla, eh? Kayla is a strong hero who attacks the backline, similar to Ju. She can break teams from behind and create chaos quickly. I use Kayla often. Kark, V. I don't use Kark anymore, even though he was one of the first heroes I developed in the game. He struggles in today's meta, and I would like to see a rework to bring him back. Yasmin, V. I don't use Yasmin. She is a strong hero, but she cannot be used effectively in defense, and on offense there are simply better alternatives. Elmir, D. I don't use Elmir at all. He needs a rework because his skills are outdated and don't fit today's meta. Now let's move into the control branch. Control heroes help disable enemies, manipulate energy, or interrupt attacks. Some of them remained strong in 2025, while others dropped in value. Here's how I rank them based on my usage. Lian, C. I don't use Lian anymore. Her kit feels outdated, and I think it's time for Lian to receive ascension skills or a rework to come back into the game. Phobos, C. I rarely use Phobos. I don't see a big advantage in today's meta. There are some interesting team setups with Phobos, but that alone is not enough to place him higher. Arachne, S. Arachne is the best control hero in the game for me. She can lock down the enemy team instantly, and I use her every time I see an opportunity to control the battlefield. Jorgen, V. I use Jorgen even though his skills feel outdated. He is still valuable when the enemy doesn't have Sebastian, but outside of that, his impact is limited. Dark Star, D. Dark Star needs a rework. I don't use her at all in today's meta. Polaris, S. Polaris is a very strong hero. Her control and support abilities fit perfectly into many modern setups, especially now with Electra. I use her often. And that wraps up this year's hybrid tier list. We've seen how the new heroes reshaped the entire battlefield, how older heroes moved up or down based on the new mechanics, and why some heroes are now defining the meta while others struggle to keep up. The biggest takeaway is simple: 2025 is not about using the strongest hero, it's about understanding the right hero for the right situation, and how each one fits into your personal strategy. If you master that, you're already ahead of most players. Now I want to hear from you. Which heroes surprised you this year? Which ones carried your victories, and which ones disappointed you? Share your thoughts, your teams, and your experiences in the comments. I read everything, and your insights help shape future videos. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss the next strategy guide, event update, or tier list. We're building the strongest Hero Wars community together, and your support keeps it all moving forward. Thank you for watching, stay sharp, stay strategic, and keep dominating the Dominion. Salute and friendship.